The armed forces of the Islamic Republic of Iran will, in a retaliatory action, target the residences of American and Zionist regime commanders and political officials in the region and in the occupied territories. Trump, the President of the United States, has repeatedly threatened Iran with ground operations and the occupation of the remaining islands in the Persian Gulf. There is no doubt that the U.S. President, under pressure from the terrorist organization Mossad, and because of his background in the Epstein case, has become a plaything in the hands of the Prime Minister of the Zionist regime in the war and aggression against Iran. The President of the United States, who had become known as the most lying president among the countries of the world and has no intellectual or discursive stability whatsoever, is in no way trustworthy. Unfortunately, the American leadership has granted command authority over the armed forces to someone who, due to his imbalanced stances and dangerous and wrong decisions, has dragged the U.S. Army into the quagmire of death. Trump's commanders and soldiers who wrestle with death daily in the region have fled from destroyed bases out of fear of being killed and taken refuge in service, civilian, and economic centers of the regional countries, where they are also being targeted. He and the senior commanders of the so-called American Army, from thousands of kilometers away from a battlefield, expect steadfastness from their commanders and soldiers on the front lines. Trump beats the drum of one issue loudly in the morning, only to retreat from it that same day. At one moment he speaks of negotiations, and hours later he decides to launch the war. This unbalanced and mendacious individual has inflicted enormous damage on the people of America, Europe, and the countries of the world, especially the countries of West Asia. The President of the United States has proven that the only language he understands is the language of force. In response to Trump's recent threats of ground operations or the occupation of any point or territory of Iran, which is nothing more than a dream, would declare, the warriors of Islam have long been awaiting such moves, so they can prove that aggression and occupation will have no result other than disgraceful captivity, dismemberment, and the disappearance of the aggressors, and that American commanders and soldiers will make good food for the sharks of the Persian Gulf. It would be better for Trump, the American leadership, and the commanders of the U.S. Army to study the history of Iran at least once and learn from how the valiant Iranians have dealt with aggressors throughout history, and not, under the influence of the unbalanced understanding of the American president, drive their soldiers into captivity and death, and plunge the American people into widespread mourning. The powerful armed forces of proud and honorable Iran are counting the moments in case the U.S. president's threats, this embodiment of misunderstanding and lies, are carried out to crush your army.